My name is Gabriela Hersham. I'm one of the co-founders of Huckletree. We run co-working spaces around London for startups, entrepreneurs and tech businesses.
Gabriela, thanks so much for having us here at Huckletree. It's really great to be back and to be in the space. So first things first, how did your journey to co-working and setting up your own co-working space begin?
So I was in the film industry when I left university and moved to New York and started working at a film production company. Amongst other things, I was also working in front of camera, but with a film production company, we were located from a shared workspace. And I just found that we met really interesting people there and a lot of people that we ended up collaborating with. So we met a graphic designer that did some of the artwork for one of the posters for the films. We met somebody that introduced us to somebody for investment. We met an entertainment lawyer. People often ask me, do you think that Huckletree should be all people in the same industry? And my answer to that is no, because there are many more synergies if everyone's actually doing different things. So.
And I mean, this was before the term co-working must have been popular.
Yeah.
So was this just your traditional shared office, or did you learn anything from that first experience of a space that you've brought into Huckletree?
I mean, it was a co-working space. It wasn't a shared office. It was open plan, and we all shared benches. So what I learned was that it is that open plan that leads to that connection and the collaboration. And it's quite well represented here, I think, because even though we do obviously have the private offices, when you have less physical barriers to people interacting with each other, they interact more. What we aim to do is create a complete ecosystem. And with that, you need, the kind of larger, more established businesses that take the private offices, and you also need the younger businesses, the entrepreneurs with earlier stage ideas that are more likely to be in the hot desking zone, because that's how they can all collaborate. The larger businesses want to be meeting the startups, want to be working with the startups and helping them, and the startups look to those bigger businesses for help to grow. So they all play a really important role.
Absolutely. And do you have any particular methods for helping large businesses, smaller solo entrepreneurs to connect? Are there any things in place to enable this?
Yeah, I mean, we have a kind of weekly schedule of events that we put on just for our members, and the purpose of them are to get our members, speaking to each other and learning more about each other's businesses. Some of them will be kind of in informal settings, so let's have some beers, or let's have breakfast together, or lunch together, and others are more structured, so let's one of our members may come and give a talk about an area that they specialize in, or we may get a VC come in and, a bunch of members can sit with the VC and ask them questions. But we do put on a lot of ways for our members to get to know each other.
Cool. I know how involved you are in the entrepreneurial world and how many amazing people you've got coming through the space. Have you noticed any particular traits that you think make a really successful businessman or woman or entrepreneur?
It's a good question. I read recently that the level of the number of psychopaths startup founders is quite high. I don't know if that's true, but I think traits that make somebody a really successful entrepreneur, I think it kind of reminds me of when I was acting and when I was going to auditions, in the sense that you'll be fundraising and you'll go and you'll meet investors and VCs, and however many times out of 10, depending on everything, they'll say no to you, and it's really about your resilience and your belief in your product, and your ability to stick that out. And I also think that a really important job of one of the business founders is not only having the passion for their business, but being able to portray that passion to everybody else, because it's great if you're passionate about it, but if you can't get me passionate about it, then nobody's going to buy in.
Sure.
So I think that's really important.
Have you got any personal mantras, tips or tricks that you use to stay as productive, energetic and kind of on the go as possible?
For me, it's really about finding a place that makes you feel your most productive, and often there's no rhyme or reason for that. It's just the association that you make in your mind, where you know that, right, this is what I need to do, and so I need to go here to do it. And I think also there are different styles of working and different places that will suit that style. So obviously sometimes you need to collaborate on something, or sometimes you need to focus, or sometimes the work is a social teamwork thing, and our job is to be building spaces which have different corners where you can do all of those things.
Um, and finally, do you find that the work-life balance has just completely blurred together? Do you think it's important to keep things entirely separate, or do you think that it's healthy for your work to be your life and for your life to, be your work?
So I think that I'm really interested in all these kind of generational studies and all these things, and I think that when work was what work was a generation ago or two generations ago, where work was in your cubicle and it was a 9 to 5, clock in, clock out, and you would do that for 35 years with one company before moving on, it was very important to have a work-life balance. But we don't work like that anymore, right? So we all have our businesses. More and more, there's a crazy percentage of, number of people. I think it's 5 million people in the UK, or around that number. Don't quote me. Are self-employed right now. So with that, you assume that most of those people actually enjoy what they're doing. So the need to really have a work-life balance is not really there anymore, and the lines have blurred. You come here and you're working, but you're also seeing a lot of really cool people that you're speaking to, or doing a yoga class, and that is your work-life balance actually. So
Amazing. Thanks so much.
thank you.